He's too little, man. Come on. Shout out PJ Tucker, man. I know y'all saw him dominating tonight. Of course, I was wrong about PJ Tucker, though. I didn't like when the Heat signed him in the offseason, but he's been great all year. He was great tonight with 14 points, 8 rebounds, and sensational defense all game. And in the offseason, I will be making an I'm sorry PJ Tucker video, so y'all can look forward to that. Of course, I got another white shirt on. I told y'all I'm switching shirts every time the Heat lose, and of course, they blew a big lead in Game 3. But today we got on the white shirt that says blessed, because I am blessed to have Jimmy Butler on my team. But we're going to get into you later, Jimmy. But what an overall great bounce back performance by the Miami Heat. You know, we started 2 undrafted guys, and I think for the most part, Heat Nation wasn't worried. You know how cool that is? Like 2 undrafted guys and you still feel comfortable? That's how awesome this Heat organization is, man. So shout out to Gabe Vincent and Max Strus. You know, the numbers aren't eye-popping in the box score, but Gabe Vincent was phenomenal tonight, and he's been crazy good all series. That defense, that full court press on Trae Young, I absolutely love it. Trae Young was locked down again today. He was put in prison and scored under 10 points for the second time in this series. Yes, we talk about this Trae Young. But yeah, that's from my last video. It's actually performing very well, so make sure y'all check that out if you didn't already. But shout out to Gabe Vincent, shout out to Max Strus. He really hasn't played great this series. He had a really good Game 3 last game when they lost. I think it was like 4 of 16 today, which is pretty terrible, but he hit some big timely shots, so shout out to you, Max Strus. It's unfortunate because if they would have won last game, I would have had a Strus daddy alert, but it didn't happen. Soon though, I could tell one's coming up. And of course, Jimmy Butler played amazing again tonight with 36 points and 10 boards. Obviously, Jimmy's a great player. He's the definition of a max player. We saw that in Game 2 with the 45 points. But I still have a lot of concerns with Jimmy. We all know his late game execution struggles, so I don't want to get into it too much. But it just really, really bothers me. There was back-to-back possessions at the end of that game. All he had to do was drive or get some ball movement or something. Instead, he set it for some terrible, terrible fadeaways that, of course, did not go in. It's just the little things like that. Because, of course, the Heat played well tonight. They played well all series. But it's not these blowouts that concern me. They can blow out the team. The Hawks are a 9 seed. They should blow them out. But it's when they get into these close games versus the Philly next series, or close games versus Milwaukee and Boston in the conference finals. The late game execution can really, really hurt you then. So I think that's something they got to work on, and it's really just a mental thing. It's really just a don't be stupid thing, because I'm watching the other games earlier today, like Denver, for example. They beat Golden State so they didn't get swept. And Jokic, instead of taking a terrible shot, he drives the ball, kicks out to a wide open Will Barton for 3 in the corner. It seems like a lot of teams have great execution late down the stretch, and he just kind of rely on ISO ball, which is unfortunate because they move the ball very well. So I kind of just want to see them get to that at the end of the games. I'm not so confident they will, because all year we've had the same problem, but it's something they got to get fixed going into the later series, because they're not going to keep blowing everybody out. But let's get back to the positives. We finally saw a good amount of Caleb Martin minutes, and again, just like the other guys, his numbers don't pop out at you, but his defense is incredible. I've been yelling for it since Game 1 where he barely played, and I'm so happy he got in tonight. Duncan, you my guy. I'm sorry. I still like you, Duncan, but you have been terrible. It's like Nate McMillan saw you Game 1 and he said, yep, that's never going to happen again. Obviously, you're not hitting your shots. I mean, I think you were 1 for 1 tonight, but your defense has been terrible. You can't stop fouling. A lot of that is not on you. You've been getting held down by the refs a lot of times. I'm not going to lie, but still, when you're not hitting shots and then they call in those fouls on you, a lot of them are fouls too, and you can't stay in front of your man. You're a huge liability out there. I don't know why I keep saying you like he's watching this video, but if you're watching this video, I still love you, my boy. I am a Debo holder. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if you're gonna keep getting minutes, and I don't know if I'm mad either. But back to the good stuff. Of course, we can't finish talking about this game without talking about Victor Oladipo, who I think most of Heat Nation was hoping he would get some minutes tonight, and of course he did. The offense was a little iffy, but again, just like everybody else on this roster outside of Duncan and Tyler, his defense was incredible. His rebounding was incredible. He had like several big offensive and defensive rebounds going up with the bigs of Atlanta. He just overall made such a huge impact. He was a plus 30. There's no way you can be a plus 30 in a playoff game and then be out of the rotation going forward. So even if Lowry comes back, Spo has to find a way to keep Oladipo in this rotation. And it might just be letting go of Duncan Robinson. But then again, I want to see Caleb play too, and I don't know if you can play Caleb and Depot once Lowry's back, but we'll see. And Tyler, Bam, y'all got to get your act together, because this is not going to fly versus Philly and the better teams. Tyler, I'm not so worried about. I've seen enough from him just to know he's had kind of a rough shooting start to this series. Obviously, the Game 3 was decent, but I believe in him to turn it around. Bam, let's get one thing right. His defense has been elite. Top tier, phenomenal, best defender in the league. We've seen him switch on to Trae Young, and Trae Young doesn't even think about shooting. Offense, he looks like a 5-year-old stepping on the basketball court that has never touched the basketball before. I'm sorry, Bam, but it's so sloppy. You had a nice jump hook today in last game. I don't know why you can't do that every time. Sometimes you just end up getting the ball in the post on a small defender, and then I don't even know what that was. And Bam, I don't know what your offensive game has been either. It's looked very sloppy. You've got to clean it up, especially going against Joel Embiid next series. And his aggressiveness is a little concerning too, because we know he has a tendency to be very passive, but I'm not going to get on him too much for that just because they haven't really needed it this series. Next series, they definitely will. So y'all, Tyler, Bam, get your act together. But overall, incredible bounce back performance for the Heat tonight. Exactly what they needed. They only had 6 turnovers. I'm gonna say 5 because one of them was like at the end of the game. It was like a shot clock violation type thing. Caleb Martin just threw it back. But that's amazing to only have a playoff game with 5 turnovers without your starting point guard. That's really a credit to the whole team because we saw everybody step up and take some of those point guard roles. And to only have 5 turnovers, that's just unreal. That's something I never would have thought possible. But before we get out of here, there's a couple interesting facts that I want to share with you that maybe you never heard before. One is John Collins is actually from West Palm Beach, and 2 is DeLon Wright is actually the younger brother of Darrell Wright. I don't know if y'all ever knew that before, and I hope you could sense the sarcasm in my voice because literally Eric Reed has mentioned both of those facts at least 6 times a game, every game, and it's a little annoying. But not as annoying as TNT or ESPN, and so I hope y'all are watching the local Valley coverage because that national media sucks. This is of course why you're watching me, man, so I appreciate it. And before we get out of here, I want to shout out my favorite comment from the last video. Now usually I shout out the score prediction, but only one person picked the Hawks. It was my boy Thomas. He's a troll. You know who you are. But I'm gonna shout out my favorite comment, which is from my boy Travon, who said Hawks in 7, only because I have Trae Young's hairline. Talking about himself, which is actually why that's kind of funny because he kind of does have Trae Young's hairline. I'm sorry, Travon, but you said it, not me. I'm only agreeing with you. But that's my boy Travon. He hella cool. And he has his own YouTube channel. I think he got 1 video up, but he said he's going to try to start adding more. So I'll link that down below. So make sure y'all check him out too. Other than that, I think that's all I got to say, right? Yeah. That was my girlfriend. Shout out to her. She got me these nice little bobbleheads. Actually, you know what, Tyler? You don't get to be in the videos until you get your act together. We get Jimmy nice front and center, man. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're a Heat fan. Like the video if you liked it. Dislike the video if you don't. I don't really care. Heat in 5. I'll see y'all next time.
Pull up in your city trying to get that dead face. Do it on my own, I don't need no dead weight. Had to kill him off, yeah, I need a head space. You know this homegrown bitch don't offend me.